A crimson sun bled across the smog-choked sky, casting an apocalyptic glow on the sprawling megacity of Nova Prime. The air, thick with the stench of burnt ozone and industrial waste, hung heavy in Zara's lungs as she raced through the labyrinthine alleyways. Her cybernetic boots pounded the uneven pavement, her ragged breaths echoing off the grimy walls. Behind her, the rhythmic drone of pursuit helicopters grew louder. Searchlights, slicing through the gloom, painted the alley in harsh white rectangles. Zara cursed under her breath. They were gaining on her. She ducked into a narrow tunnel, barely wide enough for her slender frame. Cobwebs brushed against her face, and the stench of dampness assaulted her nostrils. This was the underbelly of Nova Prime, a forgotten world beneath the gleaming chrome towers that housed the elite. It was her world. Clambering over a pile of discarded scrap metal, Zara emerged into a cavernous warehouse. Moonlight, filtered through gaping holes in the roof, revealed towering stacks of crates and hulking machinery shrouded in dust. In the center, a single figure stood silhouetted against the luminous breach. "Zara," rasped the voice, a dry whisper. It was Kai, his face obscured in shadow. Relief washed over her, momentarily pushing aside the gnawing fear. "Got the data?" she asked, her voice tight. Kai nodded, a glint of metal catching the moonlight as he held up a data chip the size of her thumbnail. "It's all there. Project Exodus plans, hyperspace coordinates, everything we need." "Good," Zara said, her voice hard with determination. "We get this to the Exodus fleet, and those bastards won't get away with it." A sudden tremor shook the warehouse, followed by a deafening boom. Dust rained down in a choking cloud as the building groaned under the impact. The searchlights were getting closer. "They found us," Kai said, his voice grim. Zara cursed again. They were trapped. But giving up wasn't an option. Not with the fate of humanity resting on their shoulders. "We need to get out of here," she said, adrenaline surging through her veins. "To the docks, there might be a freighter heading out." Kai gestured toward a rickety ladder leading up to a catwalk that snaked around the warehouse's perimeter. "Follow me." They scrambled up the ladder, shadows flitting in the gloom. Above them, the helicopter blades whooshed closer, the searchlights scanning the warehouse floor in vain. Reaching the catwalk, they sprinted across the metal grating, dodging rusted pipes and dangling wires. Every groan of the straining structure sent chills down Zara's spine. Suddenly, a deafening crack echoed through the warehouse. One of the support beams had given way, sending a cascade of debris crashing towards them. "Jump!" Kai yelled, grabbing Zara's hand. They leaped, landing hard on a pile of discarded crates. Zara winced, pain shooting through her ankle. She gritted her teeth, refusing to let out a cry that might attract their pursuers. But the adrenaline was fading fast, replaced by a throbbing ache. Looking down, she saw her boot was twisted at an unnatural angle. "Can you walk?" Kai asked, his voice laced with urgency. Pain lanced through Zara's leg as she tried to stand. "No," she whispered, despair gripping her heart. I can't." Kai looked around, his face flickering between worry and determination. The searchlights were getting closer, their beams now sweeping across the catwalk. "Stay here," he said, his voice leaving no room for argument. "I'll create a diversion." Before Zara could protest, Kai was already running back down the catwalk. Rage and fear warred within her. Without him, she was lost. But she knew there was no other option. With a deep breath, Zara forced herself to stay hidden, clutching the data chip in her hand like a lifeline. A heavy metal object clattered to the warehouse floor, followed by a loud explosion. Alarms blared, drawing the searchlights away from her hiding place. Through the dust and smoke, Zara saw a lone figure facing down the onslaught of helicopters. A surge of pride, laced with terror, rose in her chest. It was Kai, his body a silhouette of defiance against the crimson sky. Then, another thunderous explosion engulfed the warehouse. The floor below gave way, and the entire structure began to crumble. Zara watched in horrified silence as the dust cloud swallowed everything whole, including Kai. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she blinked them back. Tears wouldn't get her out of this. Grief would have to wait. Cradling the data chip, the warehouse groaned its final death rattle, collapsing into a smoldering heap. Zara, huddled amongst the crates, coughed through the thick dust that filled the air. Her ankle throbbed with a dull, insistent pain, a stark reminder of her helplessness. Kai, the image of him, defiant against the searchlights, played on repeat in her mind. A single tear escaped, tracing a warm path down her cheek. But dwelling on grief wouldn't bring him back. She had a mission, a responsibility etched into the data chip clutched tightly in her hand. Escape. It was her only option now. Using the crates for support, Zara dragged herself towards a shadowy corner. Moonlight streamed through a gaping hole in the roof, illuminating a narrow service hatch tucked away behind a stack of machinery. It was a tight squeeze, barely big enough for her slender frame. But it was an escape route. With a grunt of effort, she squeezed through the hatch, emerging into a maze of twisting pipes and ventilation ducts. The air inside was stale and metallic, and the only light came from the occasional flickering fluorescent bulb. But for the first time since the warehouse collapsed, Zara felt a flicker of hope. She crawled through the ducts, the metal grating scraping against her already raw skin. Every creak and groan echoed in the confined space, making her jump at every sound. The warehouse's destruction must have caused a blackout in this sector, a blessing in disguise. After what felt like an eternity, the ducts opened into a small maintenance room. Zara emerged, blinking in the sudden darkness. A lone emergency light cast a sickly green glow on the room, revealing a dusty toolbox and a metal door marked "Emergency Exit." With a surge of relief, Zara limped towards the door. Just as she grasped the handle, a voice cut through the silence. "Going somewhere?" Zara froze. Her heart hammered against her ribs, threatening to burst out of her chest. Slowly, she turned around. A figure stood in the doorway, shrouded in shadow. He wore the same black uniform as the security forces who had chased them, but something about his posture, the way he held his hand slightly away from his body, made her suspicious. "Who are you?" Zara's voice came out as a hoarse whisper. "Someone who might be able to help," the figure said, stepping into the green light. His features were obscured by the darkness, making it impossible to discern his age or ethnicity. But his eyes, glinting with an intelligence that sent shivers down her spine, held her gaze. "Help," Zara scoffed. "After what they did to Kai?" "There's more to the story than you know," the stranger said, his voice calm and measured. "I can get you out of here, but you need to trust me." Zara stared at him, weighing her options. Escape on her own was impossible, but trusting a stranger, especially one who could be working for the very forces hunting her, felt like a gamble. Taking a deep breath, she made her decision. "All right," she said, her voice hoarse. "But first, tell me who you are and why you'd help me." The stranger smiled, a hint of amusement flickering in his eyes. "Let's just say," he said, "I have a vested interest in seeing their plans fail. My name is Leo, and right now, time is of the essence."